Once your body is settled into its comfortable meditation posture, we begin with the 7-limb prayer. And before the prayer, we set a brief motivation, as always, before any meditation or teaching. Wishing that whatever we practice today and whatever our deeds are of the day, may they be of the most benefit to all sentient beings, whomever I interact with today. And may this meditation help me train my mind on the path to becoming a bodhisattva or an enlightened being and being of benefit to others. And with that, we begin the 7-limb prayer. First, I prostrate to the Buddha with my body, speech, and mind. I make offerings of every kind, both actual and mentally transformed. Here you can imagine making offerings of flowers, incense, beautiful music, the most expansive offerings you can imagine to the Buddha and your teachers. I confess all my negativities accumulated since beginningless time, and I lay them before the compassionate Buddhas. I rejoice in all the positive potential created by myself and others. Take a moment here to deeply rejoice in all the merit being created in every moment by people all around us. I request the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to return and turn the wheel of Dharma, to continue to teach sentient beings. I request them to also stay and continue helping sentient beings until samsara is totally emptied of beings. I dedicate all the merit created by reciting this prayer to the full enlightenment of all beings. And now we begin our analytical meditation with about 5 minutes of shamatha practice. Mindfulness of the breath. And through this practice, allowing the mind to stabilize and relax, preparing it for analysis later. You can practice mindfulness of the breath by either watching the breath at your abdomen as the abdomen rises and falls, or at the tip of your nose, observing the sensations the breath forms there as it flows in and out. Rest your attention gently on this point that you choose. As lightly as a butterfly lands on a flower. Almost unnoticeable, but still present and alert. Sometimes it helps here to take 3 deep breaths first to bring the object into focus. Before allowing the breath to return to its natural flow. If the mind gets distracted, continue bringing it back to the breath. Very patiently. Being patient and compassionate with our minds. And now we meditate on the teachings we've been receiving, on the suffering of the lower realms. It is said that it is certain we will die, but we do not know when death will occur. When we die, we don't know where we will take rebirth, whether we will have a happy or an unhappy life in the next one. We have no control or choice regarding our next birth. We're simply propelled by our own karmas. If we've created many negative karmas in this life, then one of these could ripen at the time of death and propel us into one of the lower realms. And so we contemplate on these three realms to really understand how undesirable it would be to take birth in one of them. There are three main lower realms and many sub-realms within these realms. One of them we see right in front of us, all around us, which is the animal realm. Animals suffer from hunger, thirst, heat, cold, getting killed and eaten by other animals or even by people. Domestic animals may also experience some of these sufferings. And even if they are taken care of, they lack freedom to move around where they want. The worst suffering of animals is that they lack intelligence to practice the Dharma and escape from their situation. Contemplate on the suffering of being born in the animal realm. Shantideva describes the animal realm as such. The good quality of suffering is that it removes arrogance through sorrow. For beings in samsara, they experience sin. They experience fear, aloneness, and endless roaming. Really imagine what it would be like, what it would feel like to be one of those animals outside on the road, hungry, in constant fear, sometimes even beaten or hurt. And make the strong wish, the strong resolution that you will avoid all negative actions that might lead you to such a birth. Then there's the hungry ghost realm. There are three main kinds of hungry ghosts. There's the realm with external obstacles, where there are beings with weapons preventing those beings from getting food and drink. Or even when they attain food and drink, it turns into pus or blood. Then there are those with internal obstacles. These beings have huge stomachs, but tiny mouths and throats, and thus they are unable to swallow or have enough to eat or drink and fill their bellies. Third is those with obstacles within the food and drink, where whatever they eat turns into flames within them and burns them alive. The seventh Dalai Lama describes this realm as such. Their stomachs are like mountains, their necks blocked, their limbs thin as grass. Their dry bodies are covered in dust. Their bone joints give off sparks like flints. The merest glance dries up rivers. They are always weary, tormented by hunger. Contemplate on the suffering of the hungry ghost realm. Imagine the sufferings of not being able to eat or drink, but seeing food and drink all around you. But the moment you get close to it, something happens. There's some obstacle. Again and again, every day. Even if this is hard to imagine as another realm after birth, after death, we can even see these beings around us in some shape or form. Those hungry and begging on the streets. Those that have some illness that prevents them from being able to eat or drink. Imagine their suffering. And make the strong resolution to avoid any negative actions that might propel you to such a birth. Finally, there is the hell realm. There are 18 hells, 8 hot hells, where the beings experience intense fire, torture, burning of the skin, and other forms of suffering. Then there are 8 cold realms, where beings live in ice without any source of warmth. They're always shivering, and their teeth are chattering. Then there are the occasional hells, where beings might have ordinary experiences during the day and then experience torture during the night, hell-like sufferings, or vice versa. These beings spend their day always dreading of what's to come. Nagarjuna describes the hell realm as such. Among all causes of happiness, the elimination of craving is the Lord of happiness. Among all suffering, the suffering of the hell realms is similarly the most intolerable. Such sufferings are utterly intolerable. One will experience them billions of times. So long as the non-virtue has not run out, one will not stop living that life. The suffering of being impaled 300 times by a spear in but a single day cannot compare to the least suffering in hell, cannot rival it, cannot come anywhere near it. Imagine what it would be like to be reborn in such suffering under such conditions. And again, even this realm, we can imagine it as being part of the human realm also. I can think of those suffering in hospitals, or people being tortured in war camps or as prisoners. This kind of suffering happens to humans as well, so it's not so difficult to imagine. As you imagine the intense suffering of the hell realms, make a strong resolution to avoid any actions that might cause you to be born under such conditions or in one of the hell realms. And as you consider the intense suffering of the lower realms and the preciousness of this human birth, imagine a time in this birth, in this life, when you might have done an action that could cause you to be born in one of these realms after death. Could be something like killing a mosquito and rejoicing in that, or being happy that it's gone. Or it could be yelling unnecessarily at a stranger, the shop wala, the auto wala. Causing anyone suffering unnecessarily. Think that this action might well cause you to end up in one of these suffering realms after you die. And we conclude by making the strong resolution to avoid negative actions that cause harm to others and cultivate positive actions. Because we have this precious human birth in which we are able to choose, we are able to decide to do a positive action and avoid negativities. We are able to practice the Buddha Dharma and develop compassion and kindness, to develop our good qualities. And so we dedicate the merits of this meditation session to working on cultivating these positive qualities for fear of the lower realms. May I train my mind as such so that I can continue being of benefit to beings, rather than being thrown into one of the lower realms and being helpless to myself and others. Due to all of these merits that I might accumulate, may all Father and Mother Ascension beings have happiness, and may all the lower realms be emptied forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately, and may I cause this myself. Due to these merits, may I quickly attain Buddhahood and lead all living beings without exceptions into that enlightened state. And may the supreme jewel of bodhicitta that has not yet arisen arise. And where it has arisen, may it not diminish, but grow more and more. You can gently exit your meditation, keeping the connection between your meditation cushion and your daily life. Thank you, and we will see you on Monday.